僕ですか？
Hello, Mario.
You know what I asked myself not too long ago? What are my favorite video games, and what do I like about them so much? Then I proceeded to stay up until midnight thinking about it, and made a list. I was already up at 11, so it wasn't very difficult. Then I felt a strong inclination to write a script, get footage, and edit an entire top 14 video about it. I'd be lying about number 15 if there was one. Also, keep in mind that I've played and loved a lot more games, but there were few that personally struck a chord and stuck with me. 14 of them to be exact, so without further explanation, let's start with... First on the list is this Chaos Gem of a game. Look, I'm going to be repeating this phrase a lot about games, but everything from the music, the art, the style, and gameplay is just astounding. I'm not the best at Sonic games, hell, I don't even play many Sonic games, but this is just a must-play. And especially if you like platformers. Every blood, sweat, and frame of animation in this game is completed with the utmost amount of love and dedication. The level design is perfected for replayability, and it's actually hard at points too. Overall, it's a very feel-good game and a strong first entry to my list. Also, did I mention the music yet?
Yo, Daniel, thank you. What? Who made this song? Damn! Yo!
I'm honestly surprised at how little coverage this game gets. It's an experience so unique, so enigmatic, that I literally don't know where to start. So many games nowadays lack a personal identity, but that's not the case for Oxenfree. Gameplay-wise, it doesn't really make you work to play, generally consisting of moving left or right and hitting one of the 3 buttons to answer dialogue. But the story, writing, and even voice acting brings a sense of realism to every moment, albeit with some exceptions. It's pretty inspired by 80s teen thrillers with a genuinely interesting and in-depth mystery that doesn't spell it out for the player. It even got me into learning Morse code, so if that tells you anything, it's that this game doesn't play around with its secrets despite its playful name. Lots of unsettling spooks and mysteries to uncover in Oxenfree, and I highly recommend it. I have poured hundreds, if not thousands of hours into this game, easily making up my most played title of all time. I know as of late, Overwatch 2 has been getting a pretty bad rep, and for good reason, but I can't ignore the countless days and nights I've spent playing this game with friends, sharing so many unforgettable memories. I think at its peak, Overwatch was the best shooter of all time, with a vast collection of amazingly written, voiced, and fun characters to choose from. Along with all the meticulously designed abilities and maps, it deserves my number 12 spot on this list. Where to start? Well, if you know much about the Zelda franchise, you know that there is a lot of them. I had a hard time deciding whether this game makes top 10 or not. Ask me next week and I'll probably have a different answer. It basically boiled down to how outdated the game can be comparatively to other Zelda games. But underneath all that is something really special. Majora's Mask promptly released after Ocarina of Time's massive success, but was only given about 9 months to make, which is why it's so impressive. Sure, almost all the assets and characters are reused from Ocarina, but the overall story and personality it holds is why so many people would die on the hill that this is the best 3D Zelda game. I personally have little to no nostalgia for it, as when my family had the N64 copy, I was but a wee lad, and didn't really understand how to progress. Plus, the moon and time mechanics kinda freaked me out, so it didn't give me much confidence to keep coming back to it either. But playing it when I got older, I realized how genius the gameplay loop is. It's not perfect, but it stands out from the rest of the Zelda games, and that's why it's one of my favorite games of all time. See what I did there?
Can he make the impact? I
Finds
dare
it.
say,
Not
not
enough.
yet.
Ooh, somehow manages to make it back to stage, and now lining up the back air, tries to get him with the side. Oh my God!
I feel like this one is pretty self-explanatory. If you're into the gaming industry at all, you've heard of Smash Brothers. You know how I was just praising Overwatch for all of its quality, characters, maps, etc.? Well, try multiplying that by a ton. So much time, effort, and love was put into every inch of this franchise. It's truthfully unfathomable how accurate each added character is to their respective franchises, worked so seamlessly into this timeless platform fighter. Not to mention the colossal weight the competitive esports scene exudes to all gamers alike, all without the help of Nintendo. You could bring your grandparents into the room to watch a Grand Finals Game 5 last stock, and even they would be getting hype. You don't see many communities as strong as the Smash community, and for that, it supersedes the previous entries. These are my mains.
My boy.
It's awfully close, but this, at least this week, is my favorite Zelda game ever. Borrowing from its not-so-distant relative A Link to the Past is an incredibly solid top-down Zelda masterpiece. Ask anybody who's played through this game and they'll most likely say it's the best Zelda game ever made. Everything from its expertly crafted soundtrack, mechanics, and adventure as a whole explains why Sakurai opted for Zelda's redesign in Ultimate. Seriously though, I have a strong connection with this game because of my dad. Despite not having a lot of money, he would see a commercial for a new game that released and come home to surprise me with it. I've never really been too emotionally attached to games, but this one in particular I hold dear. Even without that, A Link Between Worlds has such an imaginative and fun world that deserves to be in my top 10, 100%. That's right, character development, I'm sure myself now. Pretty much everyone and their pet caterpillar has heard of this game. The RPG where no one has to die. Or, in a fanboy's terms, no one better die in your playthrough or I'm killing you and your family. In all seriousness, there's a reason why this game is critically acclaimed. Yes, it practically plays itself, considering most of the game is just walking forward through the underground, but a lot of great games are like that. So, what makes Undertale special? Well, typically that question has kind of a loaded response, so I'll try to keep this short. To start, it has really strong characters. No, not in the literal sense. It's not often that you find games or even any piece of fictional media that has interesting and lovable characters. You don't need impressive graphics or second-to-second riveting gameplay to make a game enjoyable. Even if the most captivating part is being able to dodge your opponent's attacks during their turn, the music, writing, and genuine emotion you feel for the characters just wraps it all up in a nice gift box. Look at that, it's even got a bow. Undertale has a very coherent and compelling story that had me filled with determination all the way through. And Deltarune, which is an AU of Undertale, is still in the process of being made, but what is available to play now is even more enjoyable than Undertale for me. And that says a lot, so I'm counting both games for spot number 8. This video is not sponsored by anyone, but I feel like we all deserve a break. Where the f did you come from? If you haven't
You've got mail.
about the craze of Animal Crossing games yet, you're either capping or Tortimer. Many struggle to explain why they adore Animal Crossing so much, but not me. I love all the Animal Crossing games in general, even having New Horizons be my most played, but something about New Leaf just hits different for most people, including myself. I think it's because of how the game has this underlying tone of sadness, yet comfort in that sadness. Not to say the player is feeling sad throughout every minute of gameplay, but still. Something about logging on every day to improve the state of your town and villagers with some of the most beautiful yet simple music accompanying your peaceful daily activities is a feeling everyone deserves to have amidst this orchestrated chaos that is our world. And one day, maybe we can make that lifestyle a reality. Speaking of peaceful lifestyles, have you ever wanted to be trapped in a school where the only way to leave is to kill your classmates without getting caught? Too bad, because in each of the 3 Danganronpa games, you play as the goody two-shoes who discerns who the killer is in class trials, with an overarching plot that hardly connects at all unless you watch the anime.
I do not want to hear that!
For real though, this trilogy is an excellent whodunit mystery that gets better with every game. The first game in the series, Trigger Happy Havoc, is pretty great, but suffers from being released in 2011, where all games that year became outdated within 5 years in almost all aspects. Okay, that's probably not true, but the point is, if you do start playing these games, hold out for Goodbye Despair and Killing Harmony, the second and third in the trilogy, as that's when the studio really started to perfect their craft. And let's not forget about the music. The composer, Masafumi Takada, knew nothing but the premise of the game and went into it blind, only knowing the general emotion to convey. Later, by playing the game after its release to see how it fit. He did that for each game, and the results are amazing. Talk about talent. Anyways, great story, writing, gameplay, the whole shebang. Go play it unless you're scared of pink blood, cause some shit goes down in these games. We've made it to the top 5, people. The eye-appealing pixel art visuals and beautiful booming soundscapes say it all with this title. I'm not joking. Unlike Danganronpa, this game has no dialogue whatsoever, not even text in menus describing what your abilities do, which is a worthwhile topic of discussion. Chopping away at aspects of art in general and leaving only what's necessary amplifies what is there. And man, what's here is incredible. It's a challenging, combat-focused adventure with some of the most poetic and jaw-dropping sceneries known to gamer. An interesting clue to the narrative is the main character, much like the creator of Hyper Light Drifter, Alex Preston, has a heart condition, which is why the main character coughs blood on occasion. Your illness seems to be your main enemy more than anything throughout your journey. And yet at the same time, you're fighting for something greater than you. Anyways, I've already said way too many words trying to do this game justice, so go check it out. It's cheap and worth your time. Hades is a hell of a game. Okay, let me elaborate. I literally cannot utter a single complaint about this game, because there are none. I'm sure someone else can nitpick extremely little things, but this game is the definition of a masterpiece. It's a Greek mythology, roguelite, dungeon-crawling battle out of hell, all while being wholesome in a lot of ways. You play as the son of the god of the dead, who wants to leave his father's domain with the help of Greek gods lending you their consistently clever and fun abilities to do so. I've put over 100 hours into this game, and there is still new content every time I fall in battle and respawn at the House of Hades. Huge props to Supergiant Games for the super and giant success this game has garnered, because they deserve it. It did so well they're making their first sequel, Hades 2, which I'm stoked for. With incredible art direction, music, game design, and replayability, I can't think of a game more deserving of my money. There are so many cool things about this game that you just have to experience for yourself. Even my top 3 combined isn't more bang for your buck than Hades. Looks like we're nearing the summit, everyone. Overcoming all odds to climb an entire mountain is no small feat, even if it's just a video game. Celeste pulls no punches when it comes to its game design, tight controls, heartwarming story, and of course, platforming. It's a love letter to gaming as a whole. Playing through this game the first time was a roller coaster gondola joyride front to back. Even the moments when you're screaming at the top of your lungs, slamming the ground, then looking at the palm of your hand like an anime protagonist. Literally fighting with your doubtful self almost the whole way. But every time you fail, you get back up. And with some of the most uplifting and inspiring music by your side, you keep climbing higher and higher until you reach the summit. If I said any more, you might not go the distance yourself. So I highly recommend anyone who hasn't played yet to start their car and make their way to Celeste Mountain. This game speaks to me on a spiritual level. By far the quirkiest game on the list, Earthbound is jam-packed with surprisingly fun JRPG battles, comedic NPC writing, cozy adventures, at least most of the time, and the grooviest soundtrack on the SNES. It's a game about friendship, love, getting a knife pulled on you by a guy named Frank with his tank, and traveling back in time to stop the evil entity known as Gygus to save the world from destruction. I know, it goes a bit off the rails, but that's why I love it so much. It's not afraid to be weird and scary and still have meaning, all in one experience. For a game that initially came out in 1994 in Japan, it was way ahead of its time. It's also one of the only games I've fantasized about playing years before I was able to, due to the lack of places to play it. I didn't have an SNES, computer to emulate, Wii U, or the newest 3DS. So the anticipation of wanting to play it for myself grew so high that when I finally did, it was like a dream come true. I played nothing but Earthbound for 2 weeks straight, so I have a fond memory of that. And for the longest time, it was my favorite game of all time. But as we all know, times change. Life will always change.
I miss you.
Persona 5 is my favorite game of all time. I cannot think of any other game I've enjoyed my time with more than this game. It's not for everyone, but if you like what you see, I implore you to jump into the world of Persona and find yourself. Everything from the music, the art, the style, and gameplay is just astounding. This is simply the best modern RPG in video game history. Literally fight me. Each story arc is perfectly thought out and woven together. The turn-based combat is focused, flashy, and fun. Navigating through the level design is intuitive and mesmerizing. The gameplay loop never gets stale, and despite a couple of tropes that make you roll your eyes, the writing is immaculate. I mean, even what could be considered as post-game content that was added in the re-release has the best finale to a storyline I've ever seen. And a big reason for that was the sheer passion the developers had. It's very hard to have programmers, writers, storyboarders, animators, composers, and actors all be in complete synchronization for an entire project. But the people at Atlus did it. I did not experience a single bug in the 110 hours I played. Do you know how clinically insane that sounds? But it's true. They didn't rush game development, and instead they said this game is gonna be like
doing peyote and sneezing slowly for 6 hours.
This seems like a private matter.
The story, in short, is about a bunch of high schoolers who feel like they've been robbed of their place to belong in one way or another. And by working together, they bring an end to corrupt adults with distorted desires by making them confess their sins through stealing their hearts and a cognitive world inside their brain. If that isn't the most classy, badass way to rid the world of evil, I don't know what is. Plus, I'm kind of a nerd for psychology, so I might be a bit biased in that regard. But that's only part of the game. The other part takes place in the real world, where you're given the choice to explore Japan's many popular hotspots as a way to increase your character's social stats, gather equipment for the cognitive world, talk to civilians, hang out with your friends and teammates. You can even get closer than that and date people. But none of it is frivolous. In fact, everything I just listed aids you in some way in the cognitive world, which is super cool. Even something as simple as hanging out with a teammate at a noodle restaurant will unlock a new ability to use in a mind filled with distorted desires. But as all of that is happening, the game reminds you every so often that you're just living a flashback. It teases you with the story's inevitable climax from the beginning. Then you go back and find out what led you there. It's brilliant storytelling. And that may sound like a lot, and that's because it is. But what's wild is that it never felt overwhelming or convoluted. The pacing of it all is really well done. I never would have expected my top 2 games to be JRPGs. I feel like Earthbound will always be my favorite game, but there came a point where I had to look at it objectively and respect the quantity of quality here. And can I just say that I would make a whole video based on the music of this game? It's absurd how many bangers there are on here. Anyway, living my way through this world day by day for 1 year in-game flew by way quicker than I expected. Even after 110 hours, it left me wanting more, being genuinely morose that it was over. And yet, I felt immense appreciation to experience the profundity and joy the game had to offer. I've barely even scratched the surface of this game, but every aspect of Persona 5 flows incredibly well and deserves every bit of praise I have. And basically what I've been trying to say is,
Persona 5
Makes you feel like you're Batman.
wait, we haven't even gone through the honorable mentions. These are some extra games that I really enjoyed, but didn't quite make the list for one reason or another. And because of how long this video is already, I'm gonna try to get all of my thoughts out in under a minute. Here we go. Amori, honestly it probably would have been high on the list if I had finished it yet. It's great so far though. Elden Ring, do I have to explain myself here? Owl Boy, a lot of time and love went into this game and it's really unique and endearing, go play it. Doki Doki Literature Club, a cute and wholesome dating game except for when it's not and you have nightmares for a week, 10 out of 10. Mother 3, I could talk a lot here but I'm kind of on the clock. I love this game but not as much as Earthbound, that's the short end of it. Minecraft, do I really have to explain myself here? Breath of the Wild, an absolutely stunning grass simulator, super well made. Eastward, really good so far, but I haven't finished it yet. I think I was lost to the miasma somewhere on the way. Cuphead, I love Rubber Hose 1930s animation, and this game does it perfectly, not to mention how fun the actual game is. Persona 4, literally just started playing, but it's pretty cool so far. Hollow Knight, I hope this isn't what A Bug's Life truly is. Little Nightmares 1 and 2, the only little thing in Little Nightmares is you. Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, my personal favorite of all the Pokemon games. I mean, it's Pokemon, sue me. Whew, that was close. I just want to say thank you so much for watching me nerd out for almost half an hour. I spent a very long time writing and editing this video. Hell, I could make a video nerding out about all the minute details I scattered across this video. It was mostly just a personal project for me because I love editing and talking about games, but anyone who watched this in full, I love you. Even if you just skipped ahead, I appreciate you stopping by and I hope you enjoyed the video. You're either watching this on my old channel or my new channel that I created. So if you're one of my subscribers on my old channel, this video will probably be the beginning of the end for that account. First off, I appreciate you for even knowing of me back then, but I encourage you to head on over to my new channel, Cinsear Gaming. I don't plan on posting even remotely regularly, who knows, next video could be a year from now, but I wanted to start fresh with a clean platter to post gaming videos on as they come to me. And don't worry, if you're watching on the new channel already, then you too will get the euphoria of visiting another channel. I also have a piano-oriented YouTube account, Cinsear Piano, which will be in conjunction with this one and considered as my main channel. I've already been keeping myself busy for the last year over there. For now, it's solely about piano covers of songs from games, anime, and artists that I like. Videos usually come out every few months or so because of how long it takes to master a song on piano in the background of my life. I'm almost done with a couple new songs that are on their way, so look forward to those. And I think that's it. Thanks again for watching, and stay sincere? I'll figure out a better outro. Maybe.
僕ですか